Texas started putting up walls. The federal government was trying to take them down. Civil war was trending in the United States on Twitter because people think that it's like actually the first time since a state is disobeying direct orders from the federal government for what, like 50, 60 years or something like that. It had been a very long time since something like that had occurred. The Supreme Court ruled Texas can't install razor wire and barriers to mitigate legal immigration. What are your thoughts on the governor, Greg Abbott, saying that they have a right to defend themselves? The federal government should not be involved in this. What do you think about the federal government removing the razor wire?
This is just a legal argument, and it's not going to be satisfying for a lot of people, but the federal government has exclusive jurisdiction on matters relating to immigration. States have no jurisdiction whatsoever. If the federal government in their enforcement of border policy is doing something and Texas wants to do something with them, they can do that in coordination with each other, with the federal government's consent. Texas cannot defy the federal government on immigration law. So if they're putting up razor wire fence that ICE or whoever I don't know who, is it ICE? Immigration and Customs Enforcement? Are they the ones that are at the border? I feel like it's a different agency. Customs and Border Enforcement, CBE maybe? I don't remember it. I think it might just be ICE. I don't think it's ICE. There's another name for the agency. But yeah, if they're down there and they're saying, hey, stop putting up this razor wire, it's fucking with our job, and then Texas continues to put it up for purposes of regulating immigration, Texas doesn't have the authority to do that as a state. Just full stop. They don't.
Okay, so barring what the current rules are saying, what do you think should happen here if you're going to make the biggest possible benefit for Americans? And do you think that should be the main thing in the purview of the government?
The federal government should have exclusive rights to do immigration. That's the only way the country works. That nothing else makes sense there. So, that should be the case. In terms of how to actually deal with the border, it's always hard to tell if things are bad or not, because everybody has an incentive in blowing up other stuff. Every year, conservatives say there's a new refugee asylum seeking crisis on the border, and it usually is overhyped.
But this one seems to be different.
Well, because Abbott is making it his job to now defy the federal government in terms of how he wants to enforce border policy. I think something definitely needs to be done. Obviously, there are issues relating to the border and people coming into this country illegally. I think Biden is trying to pass legislation to get something done, but Republicans are also blocking it. I think
Biden was asking for more power when people were saying that Biden already has the authority to solve the problem.
I don't think it was power. I think he was asking for money. I think they just need money.
Is it money?
Border system is really backed up. I don't think we have enough money for agents. I don't think we have enough money to do the court stuff. He needs more money for it. And that legislation is being held up in Congress right now. What we really need, unfortunately, is comprehensive immigration reform. We need to figure out, we need to redo how we let people into this country. And there's just not the political will on either side for it yet. So
is this not something that's concerning to you at all?
There are parts of this that are concerning. The main part is that a state governor would defy the federal government and then get support from 25 other governors to do that. That's very scary. But
this isn't high up on your list of priorities as far as what's happening right now policy wise.
It would be one of the highest things. I just don't talk about it
because of the difference between the state and the federal government.
Yeah, because it makes me sound unhinged, but yeah. Assuming all the facts, and I haven't done the super deep dive into this, but if the facts are as I think they are, or have they been presented or whatever, I think Abbott should be arrested and thrown in federal prison because he's literally rebellious. This would be the same thing as if California were to say oh, well, we've actually decided today that we're going to let anybody from Mexico that wants to fly into this state, we're going to let them fly and stay here even if they're legal immigrants. They can just get out at the airport and they can go and live in this state if they want to, which would be insane. You can't do that.
Do you have confidence that if the plan that Biden has proposed would be approved, that it would actually drastically improve the border enforcement in the situation?
I think it would improve it. Would it drastically improve it? I don't know. Biden's enforcement right now is, I think, a little bit better than Trump by the numbers. People don't like to hear that, but the reality is, one, Trump's final year in office was very easy because of COVID. There weren't very many people coming through, and because Trump could use, I think it was Title 42, he could declare a national health emergency and do hardcore border enforcement, which Biden couldn't do anymore. He tried to, and the Supreme Court said you can't use this title anymore to do this because there's no more COVID health emergency. But I think the Cato Institute did a big analysis on the number of people that were coming in as a percentage of border crossings and et cetera, and it showed that Biden was doing percentage-wise a bit better. There's just a whole bunch more people trying to come right now, especially once COVID is over. So I think that more money would help, but again, we need comprehensive immigration overhaul, and I don't know when the fuck that's ever coming. Yeah.
So my understanding of the situation, let me just state this right here. I get most of my information from Twitter, on the left and on the right, just to be clear. But it seems as though the Remain in Mexico was just, it obviously went away with Title 42, and then people are coming. They're saying that I feel threatened by my current government.
Mhm.
You get led into the United States with a certain court order that you have to appear by so-and-so date, say 3 or so months in the future. And then people just come into the United States, drop their passports, drop everything, drop all documentation, and then pray that some policy is going to be passed for them all to be granted amnesty.
Yeah, I've read that. I don't know by the numbers like how much it's actually happening.
So
I haven't done that yet. If that is happening in a huge amount, that would be a bad thing. But I don't know if that's happening more than it ever has been in the past. If there's any reason to believe that it's happening more than it ever has been in the past.
I think that the number. So I've seen a lot of data on this, at least, but it could be skewed data. But it does appear that the number is like 10,000 illegal immigrants coming per day from the southern border that are going into the United States. And the thing that's concerning for a lot of people is if you added up all of the numbers, I think it was since the beginning of Biden's presidency, the known number is 6 million. And then you have all of the unknown gotaways, which are the people that just get through the border without actually being, on a camera or anything. And 6 million people, I think I saw some number where it's a greater population than like some crazy amount of the actual population of certain states. Like,
yeah, I mean, I think the overall amount of illegal immigrants that I'm familiar with, they're supposed to be like 12 to 15 million. And the numbers that I hear people saying is that like the illegal immigrant population has like almost doubled in the past like 3 or 4 years. I don't know if I believe that, but I haven't done like the really deep dive on the immigration border stuff. I was going to, but I'm still doing like foreign policy, so I haven't dug into this as much right now.
Yeah, it was really interesting that you didn't really talk about that with Ben Shapiro. I really thought that was going to be brought up because I think for the conservatives right now, that's their biggest concern, honestly. And you see other people like Bill Maher, especially when you have these people, these like 4 illegal immigrants in New York that beat up all these police officers, and that was caught on video. People are now saying, okay, these guys got let off without bail. That makes absolutely no sense. And then certain things are getting approved for, I think it was like, I don't know the exact amount, but it was in the millions, tens of millions, maybe over 100 million, for visas with $1,000 credits to be dispersed to a bunch of different illegal aliens. And then a lot of people are saying, okay, well, it appears as though they're taking care of these immigrants more so than they're taking care of the citizens.
I normally, and again, I can't speak to those things. I haven't looked into that, but normally when you look into these things, they never are as they're reported. Like,
I figured so.
Yeah.
But if it is,
then
it would be concerning.
Yeah, it would be, but it almost never is. When a story seems like too sensational to be true, when you actually look into the details, it's usually not. But I haven't looked into those, so I can't speak to them.
We'll do our best to fact check what I just said, but it would be interesting. And I would like to see your take on that.
Okay.